RFK Jr. exposed CNN in real time.
You are saying nonsense. You are saying something that you cannot show me a single study.
I am not saying nonsense. I want to talk about.
Cite me the study that you're talking about.
I am not here to defend.
Studies, cite me the study.
In a heated interview with Dana Bash, she thought that she had Bobby cornered, but he kept calling out her loaded questions, leading to an intense back and forth. And today, we're breaking it all down. So if you enjoy content that cuts through that noise, hit the subscribe button and let's jump right into it.
You have been placing nearly all the blame on the COVID pandemic and the way that the U.S. responded to it squarely with Dr. Fauci. But of course, he worked for President Trump. Does President Trump also deserve some of the blame?
Well, President Trump, as you recall, wanted to end the lockdowns. I think the thing that did the most damage to our country was the lockdowns that shut down. And yet we had the worst outcome of any country in the world.
How so?
We had the highest death rate from COVID of any nation on earth.
Well, let me just say, because I've heard you say that before on the death rate from COVID, it's not accurate because public health experts say that there is a combination of factors that went into that: higher rates of chronic illnesses, which I know you would agree with, gaps to our healthcare system, and misinformation about vaccines.
But you just said what I said was inaccurate. What I said was accurate.
Right off the bat, you could tell Dana was looking to oppose everything Kennedy said, even when she ended up repeating his own point while listing reasons that actually supported his argument. That's where I first started laughing. It's like she's programmed to react this way because Bobby doesn't align with the experts or challenge big players within the pharmaceutical industry, many of whom happen to be big sponsors for the MSM. Those were just the opening moments, though. And as the interview went on, Dana leaned further into the corner journalist routine, only for RFK Jr. to remind viewers of CNN's own record during the pandemic.
So how do you prepare then? How do you prepare for the next pandemic? I mean, that's literally part of your job now because experts think it's going to happen within the next 10 years again.
Yeah, I mean, I think we did virtually everything wrong the last time.
So what about now?
The principal thing that we need to do is we need to listen to what's happening to doctors on the ground. There are 15 million frontline physicians around the world. They're mainly now connected through the internet. We can tell on the front lines what's working and what's not. The other thing that I would say is that we need to protect our constitutional rights. That is the primary obligation of our country. What does that mean? The Constitution was written.
Forgive me, but you're talking about rights, and I'm asking about a potential public health crisis that is coming. But I do want to
And one of the mistakes we made in the last time was suppressing those rights so people weren't being heard. Doctors who were saying you're doing it wrong were being marginalized and vilified.
Yeah,
and
because again, I really want to move on, but
yeah,
you were saying you were
yes, you were part of the problem.
No, I wasn't part of the problem.
There was absolute press malpractice.
What's the point of asking a question if you're just going to interrupt the answer halfway through and then mock what's being said? And Bobby, he was right to bring up constitutional rights, because during the pandemic, many of them were thrown right out the window in the name of these emergency measures. But instead of addressing that point, Dana tried to rewrite CNN's role, and her defense was so over the top that it ended up doing the exact opposite, reminding people why so many Americans lost trust with legacy media in the first place.
Let me just say, for the record, that I am not saying that the entire way that the COVID reaction was accurate. It was a scary time, and people made mistakes. Absolutely.
You were scaring people.
Why are you saying that?
Because that was the job of CNN.
Okay.
Was to put the chyrons up about how many people are dying.
We were trying to we were listening to the leaders in this country, including the president, who had a daily press conference explaining what was going on and trying to listen.
Were you listening?
I want to talk to measles.
Actually, were you reading the
measles
yourself?
Sure, I get it, lady. Everyone was trying to make sense of a rapidly changing situation, and people are bound to get things wrong. But saying CNN simply reported the news without taking sides, that's a joke. One of the clearest examples was how they handled the Joe Rogan situation, going as far as using a filter on him while portraying him as A warning to anyone who questioned the mainstream media. That definitely doesn't sound like proper journalism. And you know what's worse? They don't seem to have learned, because Dana's very next question was another poorly planned gotcha.
Measles cases in the U.S. just reached a 35-year high. The second record-breaking year in a row, 93% of these cases are among the unvaccinated. The outbreak is happening on your watch. And even before becoming HHS secretary, for years, you have been one of the leading voices questioning the efficacy of vaccines. Do you accept some responsibility for this measles outbreak?
Absolutely not. First of all, this is an international outbreak. So, and we're doing better at handling it than any country in the world. Mexico has 15 times the amount of measles per capita that we have. Canada has 4 times the amount of measles. England has 2 times the amount of measles. Did I cause those measles outbreaks?
You're the most famous.
Did I cause 137,000 cases?
You're the most famous vaccine skeptic on the planet.
Let me tell you, because actually Anthony Fauci in his diaries answers the question about why we're having a measles outbreak right now. The reason we're having a measles outbreak because of the COVID lockdowns, because people didn't, like children, during that period did not get vaccinated. And in his diaries, he says this is going to cause massive outbreaks in measles and more children, he says this, are going to die. Let me finish, because you could accuse me of something. Now let me.
No, I didn't. I asked you a question.
She was practically debating the guy already. Fauci did warn about the current outbreak, as he wrote in his diary. The group who missed their measles vaccinations because of the shutdown could lead to far more excess deaths from measles among children than coronavirus. And if Dana or anyone on her team had spent, 30 seconds doing a simple Google search, she would have found that Bobby encouraged people to get the measles vaccine during his confirmation hearings. He repeated the same message in an interview with CBS, and he said it again a couple of months ago during the HHS budget hearing before the House. But acknowledging any of that would completely undermine the image much of the media has built around him, even at the cost of damaging their own reputation. Bobby then flipped the script, asking Dana a single question, proving her bias beyond reasonable doubt.
Do you want people to get the MMR vaccine?
Yeah, I said that already.
Okay, so
I know you're flustered now, and it is.
I'm not flustered at all. I am frustrated.
Have not been honest.
The reason I'm frustrated is because you are the HHS secretary, and you are talking about things that lead to vaccine hesitancy in this country.
Let me ask you something. Do you see your job as ending vaccine hesitancy, or do you see your job as telling the truth to the American people?
I see my job as telling the truth, and the truth is that there is study after study after study. It's one of the most studied things out there in science.
You're repeating it like a parrot. You're repeating it like a parrot. I've actually read the science. Let's come back here and debate the science.
I'm not debating this with you.
Of course you won't.
No, because I'm not debating.
All you know how to do is repeat things that people told you and say, trust the experts. That's what you did during COVID. Now we know that Anthony Fauci, who was the expert, was lying about everything, about masks, about social distancing, about natural immunity, about the transmission from the vaccine, about the source of COVID. He was lying, and you were punishing people for not trusting the experts. And now you're rolling out the experts again.
Yes.
To talk about something that you have no personal knowledge of.
Okay.
Honestly, that was a masterclass. Following this humiliating takedown, CNN put out an article titled, RFK Jr. Targets Fauci and Pushes Medical Misinformation in Fiery Interview. Ironically, they conveniently left out many of the parts we just showed you, while filling the piece with quotes from experts explaining why Bobby was supposedly wrong. It's fair to say that Dana was spreading disinformation when she said that she was interested in telling the truth, because the network's response was to double down on the same playbook they've used for years. If anything, it just ended up proving Kennedy's point better than he ever could.